What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are going to have some fun. So I'm just going to say it because, people are noticing I cut it off. And I cut it off for some very good reasons, part of which is what I'm going to share with you as we go through the show. So today's show is called Getting Your Sexy Back. Yum, 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 yum. What could you do? What could you do if you were willing to embrace that energy, that part of yourself that is generative and creative and uber feminine? What could you do in your life? It's going to be, this is going to be a good show. I'm very excited about this. So, on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We talk about your subliminal soundtrack. We talk about how to get it working for you rather than against you. We also talk about seeing your unique beauty, value, and contribution to the world. So, what would it take for you to just get really, really calm and quiet and play with all of that? Did you know that you're beautiful? Do you know that you're beautiful? If you didn't already, you're going to know by the end of the show. Yay. I am so excited about this one. So I'm going to share with you just a couple of things before we go into the show itself. The first is that I just completed 2 new coaching certifications. One of them was in something called the Goddess Project. So we were focusing on a lot of women's stuff and how things would show up for women. And that was what prompted this particular show, was this idea of getting your sexy back. I was talking with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago now. I can't remember exactly when it was. It doesn't matter. But I was talking with a really close friend of mine, and I said to her, I think for me, what this whole pandemic has created is like there's no place to go. There's nothing to do. So I'm somebody that used to be like I'd go to this friend or that friend, or they'd come here, or we'd have a party or whatever. I was doing dance classes, I was going to the gym, I was having so much fun and traveling, all kinds of stuff, right? And because of all of this lockdown stuff, and here in Ontario where we are one of the few places that is still in pretty strict rules. Um, so that's been the thing for me that I've found that is really missing, is that fun thing, that going out and doing just for shits and giggles. Just go and do something. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's go have some fun. And this then prompted all of this kind of stuff, because here's the deal. We all have a sexy side. We all do. Male, female, like what, however you identify, whatever your gender is, we all have a sexy side. We are going to be talking about this from a women's perspective today, because that's my perspective. I can't tell you what a man's perspective or somebody who has a different identification with gender might be, because it hasn't been my experience. So we're going to focus on this from the point of view of women and what happens to us as we age, as we go through different stages in our lives. We're going to talk about all of that and how that relates to, and how we can bring that out in ourselves again, because it's always there. I promise you, it is not dead. It is not gone. It is a layer of you that is part of who you be in your creation. It is so much a part of who you are. And if you are feeling a little bit starved for that, stick with me, because that's what we're talking about today. So, how long has it been since you felt truly sexy? How long? What does it mean for you? The fact is that sexy is a highly charged word that can mean very different things to different people. And we're going to go through some of those definitions and some of the things that might be holding us back. hmm Um, Sometimes what women do, and this is one of the things that I really want to nail down for us today. We get so busy with our roles and our responsibilities and all of the things that we need to do in a day, that we don't take proper care of ourselves, and or we have no energy left at the end of the day. Okay? So I'm sure that women, maybe you are a woman who can relate to that experience. I know I can. So sometimes we just sort of shove it aside because we don't have space for it right now. There's no time for this right now. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So now let's get into the subliminal soundtrack. So what this is really quickly is we all have this sort of soundtrack of loop of messages that plays in the back of our mind all day every day. It is filled up with all kinds of, like, all of the bits of information that we have gathered throughout the course of our lives. So every relationship you've ever had, every conversation you've ever been involved with, every lesson you've ever learned, and every single experience has given you little bits of information that have then gotten stored back here in the back of your mind. And they are what we use to define and create our value systems, our belief systems, who we believe we are, what we believe is available to us. So this really affects every single part of our lives. The subliminal soundtrack will help us either create or hold us back from creating good relationships, good job prospects, good career and business options, so on and so forth. It is fascinating when I start to really kind of pull this apart with people, because what you see is the things that they don't even realize are happening, because the statistic is between 60 and 80,000 thoughts go through a person's mind every day. That works out to about, I think it's about 50 a minute. I did the math a while ago. It's around 50 per minute. And I don't know about you, but I cannot identify 50 thoughts that are going through my head every single minute. And what that shows us is that most of that is happening in the background that we're not aware of. So we're doing things, we're making decisions, we are engaging with people because of what's going on back here. We want to get really, really clear on what that is so that we can address any limiting beliefs. We can break through the barriers that are holding us back, and we can create healthy, wonderful, fun relationships with the people that we care about. This is the whole purpose, because the really most interesting part of this for me is that what we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it's based on completely incorrect information. Completely incorrect information. Okay. So most of this is based on my story. So I'll share a little bit about who I am and why I'm here. Um, I have gone through some stuff. We all have. We all have. I've taken lots of courses. I've done lots of therapy. I've done lots of trainings. I've learned all kinds of stuff. So my story started when I was 17 years old and I became a mom. And then it goes on from there. And I'm not going to go too deep into the details. If you want more information, find me, talk to me. I'm an open book. But what this did for me was it created a desire and almost a fire inside me to help people who were experiencing some of those same things, because I did not understand that those messages from when I was 17 years old were holding me back at 35. I had no idea until it started to open up, and then I started to understand this thing. So those ideas, those belief systems that I created way back then were still influencing every part of my life as I moved forward, until I actually pulled them out, looked at them, dealt with them, addressed them, and shifted them into a space where I now know who I am, where I now know what I desire, where I know my worth and my value, and I can move toward those things. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very, very important. So I'll give you some contact information a bit later in the show, but that's what has caused me to be on this show. It's what's caused me to create the programs that I create and to work with the people one on one that I work with. It brings me so much joy to help them to identify and break through those things. It makes my day. It absolutely makes my day. So, how your subliminal soundtrack will impact this whole idea of sexy is, I want to start actually by saying that being sexy is not, and it's not dirty, it's not perverse. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a natural part. It's one layer of the being that each of us is. It is perfectly natural. It is not something that we should be ashamed of. I really just wanted to get that out of the way, because a lot of times we have had this negative programming, especially when we were children, that has caused us to create belief systems around what it means to be sexy. So, if you believe that being sexy was okay for you when you were young, but it doesn't really fit into your life anymore because now you're, your mom, your wife, your whatever it is, it doesn't really have a place. it doesn't have a place in your world, then you're probably not engaging. Maybe you've had some fun with her before, but you're not really engaging with that side of yourself right now. And in all honesty, you're probably missing out on some really yummy, fun stuff. And again, we are not talking about sex. We are talking about the sexy side of yourself because we can tap into that regardless of where we are or who we're with at any time that we choose to. If you believe that being sexy is wrong, uh, but man, there are a lot of us out there who grew up with programming, and some of it's probably from religion, some of it's probably from teachers, from family members, from whatever. But if being sexy was wrong, maybe you've never even allowed yourself to engage with that side of yourself. So stick with me. If that's you, stick with me because we're going to talk a bit about what this looks like and what it could create and how much fun could that be? How much fun could it be? So, on the other side, if you believe that you are a complex being that's made up of several different parts and several different layers, that being sexy is fun and allows you to tap into a vibrant part of who you are, you probably already understand how fun and creative that energy can be. So you see what I'm saying? It's the belief systems that cause us to have one opinion, one belief system around anything. Okay? And so that's what we're going to hit hard today. So first thing that I want to say, we're going to get real here. Today's show is going to be very real. There may be some language. We are not talking about sexual acts or positions or anything like that, but what we are going to do is we're going to get really honest about tapping into that sexy side of who you are. There will be some discussion. I would happily welcome anybody who wanted to join me in this conversation. You can find the Zoom link is at, hold on, I've got it here, inspiredchoicesnetwork.com chat room. So slash chat room will take you to the chat room where you can type in your questions or your thoughts. Um, you can also find the Zoom link on that same page, on the left side of that same page. And if you join through the Zoom link, then you can actually come on live and have a conversation. So if you have questions, if you have challenges, if you have thoughts, and I'm just going to say it needs to be respectful. We're going to be respectful of each other, even if we disagree. It's okay. But we're going to be respectful of each other. So if you're somebody who would like to join in this conversation, I would welcome you to go and find that inspiredchoicesnetwork.com slash chat room and join me today. It will be fun. Okay, so we're going to wrap up our first segment of the show by talking about some of the blocks that a lot of us have around this. So, again, the subliminal mindset, the messages that go on back there. If you were taught that being sexy equals being dirty or being perverse, or any number of other things like that, right? We were supposed to be pure. We were supposed to be all kinds of stuff. And a lot of us got these messages that made us shy away from or embrace that side of ourselves from an unhealthy place, from an unhealthy place. Okay. So the fact of the matter is that you, your being, your body are all very important. They are all precious and beautiful and deserving of honor and respect. All of that. Okay? That's the truth. And many of us didn't hear that because it was a shameful thing to talk about our bodies. It was a shameful thing to talk about sex or to talk about urges or to talk about any of those things. As we were growing up, those were the kinds of messages that came to us. And therefore, we attached these ideas of, I really don't want to talk about my body parts because that's dirty. I don't want to talk about my feelings about my body parts or my urges or any of this because it's dirty. Okay. It isn't. It isn't. This is a perfectly natural part of who you are. It is a perfectly natural part. And and it is lovely and beautiful and generative and creative when you tap into this deeply feminine part of yourself. If you've never done it before, it will be an experience that will probably change you forever. I promise you, it is amazing and wonderful. We all know these people, right? So let's just take a moment. We're going to go to break in a second, but take a moment before we get there, or maybe during the break, to think about these people that show up in your world that that you just like, wow, man, is she ever beautiful? Is she ever whatever it is? Because sometimes we can't even find the word for it. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes it's about that picking up on the energy, and the we just feel this femininity rolling off another person, and we just go, wow. Have you ever felt like that? I know I have. There have been women all through my life who have embodied this feminine, sensual, whatever it is, and it can look very, very different. We're going to talk about that when we come back from our break. So, yeah, take a few minutes while we're doing this just to sort of think about those people, those women in your world, or maybe men in your world. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? There's no judgment. But those people in your world that have that sense of like, oh God, what have they got? What have they got that I would like to have? All right, so stick with us. We're going to head to our break now. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we are going to talk more about this getting back in touch with your sexy side, how to bring that vibrance into your everyday life, and how to use that powerful energy to create more joy, more fun, more laughter in your world. Stick with us. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about getting back in touch with our sexy side, how to bring that vibrance into your everyday life, and how to use this powerful energy to create more joy, more fun, and more laughter in your world. I love this. I'm so excited to be doing this show with you today. All right, so what does it mean to be sexy? So as I was going through one of the trainings that I just completed, it was recommended that we did a certain number of sessions with other women. So I had several conversations with other women about what this means to them. And it was really interesting. It was really quite interesting because each one of them, I know that I did all of these sessions with friends of mine because, why not? And so it was interesting because as we were talking about this stuff, one of the things that happened was this beautiful, energetic, like femininity was flying around between us. And I was hearing things that I'd never heard from these people. Some of them are very close friends and very dear friends that I've had for a long time. So I'm hearing different things about how they perceive themselves as a sexual creature, how they perceive what sexy means. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, we went everywhere from sweet and innocent to dominatrix. We went everywhere from voyeurism to confidence, just a general confidence, and how it felt for us to feel those things. It was brilliant and wonderful and amazing. And I'm so grateful because, I'm surrounded by these people, this tribe of people that I have created for myself that are so willing. They're so willing to step up and support me by helping me with this and to show up in their honesty and their truth. It was brilliant. It was wonderful and eye opening. It was just amazing. Anyway, so again, this is going to show up differently for every single one of us because what does it mean to be sexy? It's a very individual thing. There are some women who will feel this and embody this most when they're a young adult and they're, embarking on their life and their career. Some women it's going to show up maybe when they're pregnant. Some women it's going to show up later in life because we just haven't actually tapped into it yet. So there is not an age for this. This is part of you that will be with you all through your life, all through your life. So if you're like me and you're getting down to that, midlife area, then jump on board, honey. Jump on board because it is so much fun. It is so much fun to be here. So I want to share with you a little bit of also how I came to this place where I understood what this meant. I was married for a very, very long time. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that, except to say that at a certain point, the roles and responsibilities in my world at that point um, caused me to really have very little of this in my life. I didn't have the time, I didn't have the energy. I felt overwhelmed sometimes and overworked. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a caregiver, I'm a friend, I'm a so many hats, housekeeper, cook, maid, chauffeur, like so many hats that women wear. So I'm going to encourage you to play with, even if you don't feel like you have a lot of time. Maybe this could become your sort of self-care rituals or a practice over the next little while is to play with this idea of who you are when you are sexy. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to you? How does it show up? How can I bring more of this? And as usual, we will have some sort of steps to this in our next segment. So grab yourself a pen and paper if you like, and I will share some information with you about how we're going to bring her out. How are we going to bring her out? So, as I was saying, I came to a place in my life where there was so much responsibility, so many things and people that required my attention, that required my energy, that required my focus, that I just completely lost sight of this. And I didn't realize until probably a few months after we separated. I remember very distinctly the moment that it happened, though. So I had cut my hair off. I've had long hair most of my life. In that case, I had actually grown it out purposely to donate it to wigs for kids with cancer or something like that. I can't remember where it went exactly, but I had grown it out and grown it out and grown it out and grown it out, and I ended up with like a 13-inch braid or something like that that we sent off to whomever needed it. Um, so the long hair was really part of my identity. It really was part of my identity. And when I cut it off was literally within a couple of weeks of my life changing. And I kept it for a very, very, very long time. It felt sassy. It felt playful. It felt fun. And I went on this trip by myself. One of the first times I've ever done this. Went down to Phoenix for a business thing. And for some reason, I have no idea what came over me, but I started to take pictures of myself dressed up, and I was sort of sharing, some of the learning that I was doing in this conference thing that I was attending. So I would go on and I would say, "Hey, what do you think about this outfit or whatever?" Whatever. It was all on Facebook. I was posting, and it was largely because of this idea of, "Oh my God, I'm really doing this. I am really on a trip by myself, learning important information that's going to help me move forward." And wow, that's where it started. And there was one picture that I took of myself. And I looked at that picture, and I'm pretty sure that I probably cried because there was this essence. There was this essence in that photo that I had forgotten all about. I had forgotten that she was there. And for the first time in I don't know how long, I looked at myself and I went, wow, you really are. Like, wow, you really are beautiful. You really are all of these things. You really are a woman. It moved something in me when that happened because I had forgotten about that. I'd forgotten about who she was. I'd forgotten about how much fun she was. I'd forgotten about what it felt like to walk in that space, that sensual, feminine, sexy way. I'd forgotten how it felt to be her. So when she showed up that morning and I walked out from my hotel room and went into the confidence or conference, I walked in a different way. Do you see what I'm saying? I walked in a different way. I walked into that room and I felt different and I carried myself differently. It's such a visceral thing when we tap into that part of ourselves. It's such a visceral thing. And over time then, what came out was this that playfulness, that fun, that silly, that all of those things that means to me. Okay. And again, mine is probably going to be a whole lot different from a lot of other people's, and that's okay. Yours will be and can be whatever it is for you. The important thing is to allow ourselves to remember that part of ourselves. Or if you're somebody who has never felt comfortable with that because of those subliminal messages, to allow yourself to open up and be curious about who she is, to allow yourself to see what might change if you allowed her to come in and show you. It is not about sex. It is about energy. It is not about, you know, being dirty or being perverse. It is about embracing who you are at the core of your being. Okay. It is about tapping into, there's a power in that place. And maybe the power shows up in soft, maybe it shows up in strong and loud. It doesn't matter how it shows up, but it shows up uniquely the way you make it. It is one of those things that is very much a part of the essence of who we be. Male, female doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter. There is an essence inside you that is this sexy side, this creative and generative, and oh man, that thing that is going to make you take on a different posture, that's going to cause you to walk into a room differently. It is there. If you have not tapped into that in a while, I'm going to invite you to play with it because man, is it ever fun. It is so much fun to get into all of this. So we are going to I'm going to call the break just a little bit early this time because I want you to have a moment to just play with this while we are doing our commercials and whatnot. So I'm going to ask you just to think about, what does this mean for you? Okay, grab yourself that pen and paper while we go to our break. Make a couple of notes. Think about, what does this look like? What does this mean for you? Make a couple of notes before we come back, and when we get back, we're going to talk about sort of the nitty-gritty of how to bring her, whomever she may be, into your world and allow you to play with her. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. And today we are talking about this, how to get in touch with that sexy side and bring her into your everyday life so you can create more fun, more joy, and more laughter for yourself. So grab your pen and paper. We're going to head to break. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a minute.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about getting back your sexy. So this is a part of the show where I'm supposed to share a few things. And one that I'm incredibly excited about is, as a result of this learning that I've done and the conversations that I've had with my friends about this whole sexy side, I have actually created a program that is going to be launching momentarily. It's going to be a small group. I would recommend that you get your eyes open, get on our Facebook page and keep your eyes open, because it will not be running very long at the price that it's going to be introduced at. And there will be 10 spots in each group. So there aren't a lot of spots available. So it's called 6 Weeks to Sexy. I know, right? So we are going to be exploring, what does this mean for you? We're going to be exploring as a group, what does it mean when you show up in your sexy self? How can you bring that, like truly bring that out? And how can it help you? How can you use that? How can you use that, that energy to create those things, right? Because femininity is, it's a thing. It's sort of a, I don't know what you want to call it, like a moving target, and it can really depend on the day, because maybe one day showing up as your feminine self means that you're a ball buster, and I hate that word, by the way. And I'm sure I'd be called that by a number of people when I show up in my power, and that's okay, whatever, that's on them. But maybe sometimes it involves you showing up in that fighting stance, in that I will not, you will not, whatever, right? Sometimes maybe it shows up as that mother, that tender, that gentle, right? It can show up in any number of ways. And sometimes maybe there's a whole lot of different pieces to that thing. So that's what we're going to do in that program. I am excited about this. I will tell you just because, if you're listening to me, I love you. Yay. So this program in its launch price is going to be $400. So $400 is going to get you 6 weeks of group sessions. They will be 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the level of engagement. If people want to jump in and share and question and all of that kind of stuff, that would be awesome. That's actually what I do it for, because I get so much fun out of that. I get so much fun out of that, digging it out and uncovering it and talking about it. Anyway, so it will be running on Saturday afternoons. I think we'll be starting maybe next week or the week after. $400. It is a ridiculous price for everything that you're going to walk away with. Um, so look for us on Facebook. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open for more information, and join me. It will be so much fun. It will be so much fun. Okay. So now I hope you've got your pens and paper. I asked you just before we went to our break to sort of think about what this might look like for you. So here are the to-dos. This is the how. This is the how part of our show. Number one, remember a time when you felt deeply feminine and engaged with that sensual part of yourself. Now, again, it could be while you were pregnant. It could be during a certain stage in your life, maybe when you were getting ready to get married, or when you had a really sensual relationship with somebody. It could be any time, but I want you to think about that and what that looked like for you. So was it a specific day or event? One of the people that I spoke with, she shared about one specific date that she had been on with a man who had been very important in her life at the time. And it was wonderful to have that conversation, because we walked through, like, where were you going? What were you doing? How did you feel? All of that kind of stuff. So think about the stage that you were at in your life, or a specific incident where you felt tapped right into your femininity, your sensuality, your whatever. For me, very easily, that would be the moment when I got that picture and what happened afterward. That would be me standing in that feminine, juicy, yummy, strong. It's going to be different for everybody. And I'm just going to say this. I'll share with you in the group, but I'm not going to share with you on the show what mine looks like. So if you want to hear what mine looks like, you'll have to join us in the group. All right. So that's the first step. Remember a time when you felt deeply feminine and engaged with that sensual part of yourself. Step two, define what it means for you. So, what was it about that day, that time of your life, that experience, whatever it might have been? What was it that caused you to feel that femininity, that sensuality, whatever it was for you? What was it that caused you to feel the way that you did at the time? For me, again, we'll go back to the picture story, and it was just the lighting, the lighting and the tilt of my head, and like there was just some essence that I saw in that photo that I had not seen in a very, very, very long time. So that was, for me, in that moment, what helped me to get back in touch with her. Okay. Now, here's where it starts to get fun. Here's where it starts to get fun. Play with her. Play with her. Close your eyes and imagine how that felt. How did it feel to embody whatever that was for you? How did it feel? How did your body feel? What was your posture like? What did you feel like? Did you feel soft? Did you feel strong? Get clarity on this, man. Dig on it as much as you can. Play with her and find out what that would feel like to wear that, to embody that again. Okay. All right. Step four, and we are going through these at lightning speed. How can you bring her into your life more often? So, again, for a lot of us women, we get to a certain stage in our lives where there's a lot of roles and responsibilities. and we don't really have a lot of time or energy for anything except the have tos in our world, right? I have to make sure that my kid gets fed. I have to make sure that they get into bed on time. They get to school, they get to soccer or hockey or whatever their activities are. I need to make sure that the house is clean. I need to make sure the dinner's ready. And whatever other meals need to be prepared, I need to take care of my spouse. I need to take care of my work. I need to, so many things. And as we get older and we have parents that are aging, there are other responsibilities on top of those responsibilities, and it can be exhausting. So here's the thing. You are allowed, you are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to put up boundaries. You are allowed to say what you are willing to do, and you are allowed to require the people in your world to help carry the load. You do not have to be the be all and end all in the household that takes care of everything. We talked about that on a recent show. So, what was that one called? 5 Reasons You Need to Be a Top Priority in Your Own Life is the article that I wrote about that. So figure out how somebody can step in and help. Maybe the kids can do the dishes or make dinner or like whatever it is. Whatever it is. Maybe your spouse can help with something. Maybe you could hire somebody to take care of the housekeeping. Whatever, get creative. Figure out how you can take the time to bring that energy back up in yourself. And then start to think about what could you do? Because maybe you could what is the word for that? Boudoir. Maybe you could have a boudoir photo shoot. Ooh. Or maybe you could go somewhere with your spouse or your partner. Maybe you could play with children. Maybe like what is it? What is it that you could do now? I mean, I did a boudoir shoot years and years and years ago. I probably will do one again at some point, but it's fun. It takes you into a different space. It allows you to show up in a different way, and it's playful and fun. Nothing wrong with doing this, especially not. I mean, if you've got a husband or a spouse of some description and you can share those pictures, maybe you can make it a birthday gift or a Christmas gift for them, just for them, or maybe you share them only with yourself. Whatever you want to do. And I also want to qualify this. This sexy thing does not require that you have a partner. It doesn't require that you be engaged in a physical relationship with anybody. You can do this all by yourself. It doesn't require anything physical. We are talking about tapping into that feminine, that playful, sensual side of ourselves, and how that creative, juicy energy can help us in our day to day lives. Okay. So don't feel like this isn't something that you can't do because you're single, because maybe getting single actually will help you. I don't know. I don't know. For me, I can promise you that was one of the main things that had to happen for me to remember who I was. Interesting, right? So now our last step is exactly the same name as our third step. But this one I'm going to put an exclamation mark. Play with her. Okay, play with her. Start to feel how she feels. Start to embody. Start to like change your posture. Put a different outfit on. Do your makeup. Do your hair. Paint your toenails. Whatever it is that's going to help you to tap into her play. It is okay to play. And like I said right at the beginning of the show, this has been a time where a lot of us are starved for activity and fun and play. So play, have fun, do it in the privacy of your own home. Go walk out into a mall and stretch your stuff, whatever works for you, whatever is going to help you to bring that confidence out. Do a video chat with your partner, do a whatever. I mean, those could be fun. I'm just saying those could be fun. So, oops. All right, my friends. So we are going. Okay. Kim has just shared one of those emojis with its tongue stuck out on the chat room wall. Thank you, Kim. That was awesome. Okay, so play with her. How much fun could you have with this? How much fun could you have with this? how much of a contribution could she be to your world? Does she help you to step into your power? Does she help you be more nurturing? Can she help you to have more courage? Can she help? How can she help you? How can she be a contribution to your world? Play with her and find out who she is. Learn who she is, explore who she is, and embrace her. Embrace her and bring her in to your world. Because one of the things that when we have segmented different parts of ourselves and sort of locked them away from us, what happens is that we are not really fully ourselves as long as those parts of us, good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. Your shadow side, whatever, it doesn't matter. In order to be a fully functioning, fully integrated, whole human being, we must honor and embrace all parts of ourselves. Okay? Because you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You were created perfectly with whatever physicality. And oh yes, let me say this, physicality means nothing. What you weigh, what you look like, your size, your whatever height, none of that matters to this. None of that matters. I promise you, no matter how you look, no matter how old you are, there is somewhere inside, there is this person that you can bring out and you can tap into and have all kinds of fun with. It, man, I'm not joking. I am not joking. This can be a lot of fun to play with. All right. So we're going to head to our last break. When we come back, we are going to wrap up this conversation about getting your sexy back. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Stick with us. We'll wrap this up and put a pretty little bow on it when we come back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to our final segment of Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we have been talking about getting back in touch with that sexy side of you, how to bring that vibrance out into your world, into your everyday life, and how to use that powerful energy to create more joy, more laughter, more fun in your world. And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want more fun? Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, who doesn't want more fun? If that's you, well, I don't know what to say, but I like fun. I like my people. I am so excited to get through the end of this and get back out into the world again. I've already decided, see, here's one of my tricks. I have already decided that once we get to the other side of this craziness, there is a group in my city. They put out this magazine with all kinds of little classes and stuff, so you can learn to knit or to sew or to speak a language or any number of things. And they have different dance classes. So my plan and my full intention is that when this stuff starts happening again, I am going to take at least 3 different types of classes. I want to do dance classes. I want to try different types of dancing. Maybe salsa would be fun, that kind of stuff, right? So that for me is one of the places where this side of me shows up. So now I want to get really frank about this whole subject, okay? This sexy side of ourselves, as I've said it before, but I want it to be really, really clear. I really want you to hear me on this. It is not bad. It is not perverse. It is not dirty. It is nothing to be ashamed of. This side of you is a natural part of who you are as a human being, and truly without that, I think that the human race would have died off a long time ago, don't you think? It's a natural part of us being who we are. So please, if you have any problems with mindset, belief system challenges around this, reach out to me. You can find me at www.bookacallwithjackie.com. That's www.bookacallwithjackie.com. And we will have a few minutes together where we can talk about some of the stuff, some of the challenges, some of the limiting beliefs that you have around this area. Because I mean, it would probably, I don't think I could be happier than to think that somebody actually was able to open up and embrace this part of herself as a result of a conversation that we had. It is a beautiful thing. You have nothing to feel bad about, nothing to be ashamed of. It is absolutely amazing. It is creative and generative, and tapping into that energy, tapping into that part of you will make things possible that never could have been without it. Okay. So let's just take a chance and the time to explore what this means for us, to play with the energy of what does it mean to me? What does it mean? Are you somebody who's interested in being the dominatrix? And if you are, great, own it, strut your stuff. Are you somebody who is more of a motherly, nurturing energy in that feminine side of yourself? Whatever it is, please, please take the time, go through the steps that we talked about in our last segment. Give yourself some time to play with this and find a space for it in your world. So that is what I've got for you today, my friends. Thank you so much. This one has been so much fun for me. I've really enjoyed this show. The quote that I want to leave you with: the truth about being sexy is that it is a layer of every one of us, and it can show up in many different ways. It's not dirty, it's not perverse, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I invite you to play with the idea of what it means for you and to bring that deeply feminine, creative, and generative part of you into your everyday life. I wonder how much fun that could be. Mm. All right, my friends. So thank you for being with me today. Remember, if you would like to book a call with me, you can find me at www.bookacallwithjackie.com. I would love to speak with you about whatever's going on in your world, whether it's related to this or not. Um, just, yeah, book a call with me. We'll have some fun. We'll be back next Friday at what are we? 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain, and 10 Pacific time. Next week's show is called Making Time for Play. And we're going to be talking about, see, there's a theme. There's this theme. Yes. And it goes with a new haircut. Yay. There's a theme. So we're going to be talking about tapping into that part of you that likes to laugh, that likes to play, that likes to be silly. And you see, so that there's all of these, just be with that for a second. There's all of these like generative, playful, fun kinds of spaces within us. Let's start to open those up. Let's drop all the worry and the guilt and the shame and start to play with these fun things inside of us that could help us to show up in a different way and have more fun. Because truly, like what is life all about? What is life all about? Love, fun, experience, growth, potential, all of that yummy stuff, right? So, yeah, I'm going to ask you to play with this. And don't forget to book a call because I'd love to talk about this with you. I'd love to hear how you show up. And 6 Weeks to Sexy is coming out soon. So, thank you again for being with me. I'm Jackie Mott. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.